Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the session on consumer behavior. I feel very happy to present a brand called Zudio. And all of you know Zudio belongs to a company called Tata Trend. And if you ask me why I have taken Zudio as the first case in a session like consumer behavior, what we do in consumer behavior course, we basically try to understand why customers take decisions, why they buy particular products and services, when they buy, from where they buy, and from whom they buy. So we want to exactly know and map the consumer journey in consumer behavior. That is the reason we try to read this particular course. Consumer behavior is very, very interesting and important in 2026 because a lot of brands have gone omni-channel. They are not only selling through physical stores, but also through the digital stores. So normally we call it physical stores. Now e-commerce platforms is now mandatory for everybody and especially for all of you as Gen Z, isn't it? That's the dichotomy of this particular case, Zudio. Zudio is the first brand and the vision of Ratanji, to come to a physical format and not to a digital format. Surprisingly, this brand is meant for all of you Gen Z. Now, if you look at Tata Train and Zudio basically gives 50% of sales to Tata Train. Tata Train is having two brands. One is West Side, right, which is the upmarket and Tier 1 brand. So when I say Tier 1 brand, it is not only Tier 1 for customers, but also Tier 1 for your revenue, because they operate in bigger cities. Now if you look at Zudio is a mass fashion brand. We can call it quick fashion brand, which the company has started, right? And this is basically meant to cover Gen Z and the cities like Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4. Right. And if you look at the turnover of the brand, what is the turnover of the brand? Now it stands at $1 billion US dollar, which is around 8,600 crores. How many stores they have in Zudio? They have around 780 stores. They are present in 240 cities in the country. That's what the background of this particular brand called Zudio. And if you look at the strategy of Zudio, it's very, very interesting. And how Zudio has been into 780 stores in 240 cities. It's very simple. They have three-pronged strategy. The first strategy is radical pricing. If you look at their pricing, it starts from 49 and goes up to maximum 999. So this is the uniqueness of the brand. So when everybody thought about approaching the Tier 1 cities, and if you look at Tier 1 cities, normally we call it as India. And if you look at the Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities, we call it Bharat. So when Ratanji smelled about this Bharat and India divide, so he has decided that we have a brand for the Indian consumers, which is upmarket consumers, those who are living in Tier 1 cities and with having a Tier 1 pocket. But when he talked about this particular customer base, this is basically an aspirational group sitting at semi-urban and rural areas. So that's how he has come up with a product called Zudio. And the first success mantra for this brand is radical pricing, because they know they're approaching a price sensitive market, because 80% of India still lives in the rural areas. So that is their one of the first positioning strategy, that we will make them these products available at such a lower price, whereby they will really enjoy shopping in our stores. So this is the first strategy of Zudio, why they are famous. And price rules, isn't it? But here, that's a very interesting story. We in marketing say higher price, better quality, lower price, lower the quality, isn't it? But here they have ensured that these product quality is superb. So they have maintained the quality, and you will all agree with me. As if as far as my information goes, all of us are somehow or other customer of Zudio, isn't it? Fabulous products, great quality. If you compare the price at 49, what you will get in the market. But they ensure that the product is available at 49, and the best of the best shirts you get at 999. But if you go to Max, or if you go to like Westside or other brands, you have to pay for like three or four times more. Even products like Apple and others. So this is radical pricing. The second strategy is in franchising. We have got three models, right? What is that? Company owned, company operated. Then we have got franchisee owned, company operated, and then we have got company operated, franchisee owned. No. Now how many models we have? Zudio follows obviously this model. Franchisee operated, company owned. Right? And this is company owned and what? Company operated. What is the third model? I'll tell you later. So that's a secret for all of you. What are the models? Three models. But no, for our consideration, this is FOCO. Franchisee owned, company operated. What does it mean? It means it will be owned by franchisee but operated by company. So what they normally do, they basically, if you look at small towns, they even allow 2,200 square feet area. If you go to towns like Jashpur and small towns, like 2,200 square feet, they want the investment. How much investment they require? 1 to 4 crore. That is the investment they require. So what they do, they don't invest. Capital investment doesn't belong to the Zudio brand or Tata Train. But what they do, they ask the franchisee owner to invest money, and they say, you have invested money, you sit back, relax, enjoy. Our company will take over rest of the things. So they bring stocks, they maintain stocks, they look at the replenishment, they look at the design change and all those things, they put it back, and they also look at the employees. They said, you have invested, you will be getting a royalty fee. And why not? Franchisee owners are very happy. Because by investing something and you are getting money by sitting, doing nothing, so why not you will be invested? So that's how they manage the quality and the rest of the supply chain management. So this is the FOCO model they adopt, and the investment is this. And if you look at the return per square feet, these days gives you 16 to 18k per square feet as compared to 9 to 10k in other brands. So the return is very, very high, right? And investment is not much also, right? So this is the second model, through which, that is one of the, successful strategies of Zudio. How Zudio has become such a brand over the period of time. Because, this is the demand of the consumers. Isn't it? Suppose, you are putting a store in a local area, consumers exactly behave in a particular way. And the franchisee owner knows it, right? So they operate their business through the franchisee owner. And third thing, which is very interesting things, like how they are, what is the third strategy of Zudio? If you look at Zudio, what is the third strategy? Very interestingly, what they do, the supply chain management side. What is the supply chain management side? They ensure that within 2 to 3 weeks, their stocks are changed, right? Now you must be thinking, how come they have been able to provide products at this price when others are taking 2, 3, 4 times more? So one is their sourcing is very economical. What they do, they source from multiple vendors. So if you remember 5 forces model of Michael Porter, bargaining power of suppliers and bargaining power of buyers. So what happens when you source from multiple vendors? What happens? Suppose there are 100 vendors from which you source. So suppose you want to purchase a particular, suppose you want to purchase a t-shirt. So you have got 100 to 500 vendors. So what happens when you purchase from multiple vendors? You get the best of the best price, and they keep the designs limited. They don't have any fashion designer for their design. So what they do is that because they are doing fashion, so they observe the fashion trend and they customize their product accordingly. When I say products, it is basically the merchandise, the stocks they keep in the store. So this is one. So their sourcing is less, and the second is they don't use a prominent designer from Bollywood or anywhere. So that is where they say, and they have been able to do that pricing. The third is supply chain management. Within 2 to 3 weeks, they bring new stocks. So this is a strategy. If you remember, there was a brand called Zara. They used to have this strategy. If you go to their stores, after 2 to 3 weeks, you will suddenly find the store is completely new. So what these guys do is that because they are not having any particular designer, so they bring first fashions from the market trend. So they are very quick to the stores. So they maintain their stocks for 3 to 2 to 3 weeks. After that, they immediately change. So this is their third strategy. What is the fourth strategy through which Zudio operated at that level and become one of the leaders in the market? What is the fourth strategy? The fourth strategy is zero marketing cost. Zero. The best way they operate is through word of mouth and through referral marketing. Okay, you like a particular T-shirt, you just take a photograph, post it in Instagram or anywhere, hashtag it. They will give you some gift vouchers and compliments, and that is how you operate. And they also, go for a concept called UGC, not our University Grant Commission, but this is user-generated content. So they basically look at your content. Suppose you like something, suppose you like a lipstick, you take the photograph, you give some comments, you shoot either might be a reel or something like that, you post it, hashtag it, they'll be going to appreciate with some kind of gift vouchers or coupons. So this is their fourth strategy, zero marketing cost. And this is very interesting. You must be thinking, they are a product which is targeted for Gen Z, isn't it? And Gen Z is all into e-commerce platforms and online platforms. How come a brand will dare to target Gen Z and still not available on online platforms? They are not available on online platforms. We'll only get there, in the physical stores. Obviously, some of the channels are there. Like, if you go to Tata Click, if you go to, like Amazon and others, they offer some of the products from their store, but not all the products. And they don't have a dedicated channel for that. So it's very interesting. So this is a classic case study. So if you look at consumer behavior, normally what do we see? The way whatever consumer is expecting, we should be making those products and services available to them. But this is a classic case where we have seen that your target audience is Gen Z. They are operating in the e-commerce platforms, but you are making them available in your physical counters. So this is a classic case study. And if you ask me to sum up this particular case study in nutshell, then what is Zudio and how Zudio has become a brand is basically classic example. So in a price sensitive market like India, price really matters. And that's what we learned from the case. So when we will be going to navigate through consumer behavior course, we'll be going to use price as one of the major criteria for consumer decision making. So we'll go there and take all these things. I hope you like the case study of Zudio. So we'll stop here because it's a brief case study. But let me also tell you a couple of things before ending this particular session, that when you talk about luxury brands, you basically talk about heritage branding, right? You talk about the timeless journey of the brand. But when you talk about fashion brands, which we have talked about in Zudio, it is basically trends. So that is why they say trends fade, but heritage stays. And we will have another discussion on Forest Essentials as a brand in later part of our consumer behavior course, whereby we will see how this brand has combined Ayurveda with luxury heritage and become a global Indian personal care brand, right? That is in Forest Essentials. But if you talk about Zudio, it's straight away radical pricing strategy whereby they have almost defeated everybody in the market, and it is a trend from the market. It's fashion trend, quick fashion trend, and they don't have a fixed designer also. So these are some of the strategies adopted by Zudio to become famous in the market, and their market is growing like anything. 10 times, 12 times they have grown, not only in the store size, but also in the revenue side, right? Let's hope that Tata Trade will see this brand into multi-billion US dollar business, and that's where we will end this session. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.